The NHL playoffs are fast approaching, but what are some of the dream matchups we want to see? And does the NHL have the playoff format right? We're going to talk about that and a lot more coming up on this week's NHL Squad Show.
You are talking puck with the NHL Squad Show, sponsored by Game Time. From the Oilers to the Stars, Golden Knights, and the Panthers, the Rangers, Avalanche, and yes, even the Maple Leafs. The Locked On Podcast Network brings together all its local experts to provide the scoops, breakdowns, and comprehensive looks at all the NHL, with plenty of trash talk to go with it. Don't miss the hard hits and glove-dropping hot takes on the Locked On NHL Squad Show. It's time to drop the puck.
Gil Martin here, and welcome everyone to the NHL Squad. Sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and join us as we get you ready for another wild week across the National Hockey League. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. I am very happy to be joined by Jess Belmosto from Locked On Flames, and to welcome for the first time to the show, Shukri Wrights of Locked On NHL Game Night. And playoffs are right around the corner. Glad you both could make it today. Let's start with this topic. What are some of the dream playoff matchups that you guys would like to see later this month?
Ooh.
For
With
me,
the
it's
current format?
What?
With the current format?
With the current format, something that's almost realistic. Yeah.
Battle of Ontario for me, Toronto, Ottawa.
Yeah. That would be certainly an intense first round, although, Ottawa might just get into the top three somehow.
Yeah.
They're not that far off right now. They are really playing better hockey.
I would say Winnipeg and the Flames, just because the goaltending battle, two American goaltenders and, fighting it out, best team versus whatever the Flames are. And
Cinderella story.
It would just be fun.
Especially like Dustin Wolf, who is a candidate for the Calder Trophy, even though I think it's going to go to Lane Hudson of the Montreal Canadiens. But, I mean, Dustin Wolf has become one of the best stories in the league this year, especially in between the pipes.
Yeah, definitely. I really, considering he has traffic cones and pylons playing in front of him for defense, like I give him a lot of credit for not losing his mind.
I do too. And he deserves a little bit more attention than I think he's getting from the national and international media. I know Calgary is a small market team, and if you're on the East Coast, they play later in the evening. But he really deserves a lot of credit for everything he's done. And I think it would be a big boost to him and his development to get some playoff action in as a rookie.
Absolutely. And I think even if it's not, like, the Flames aren't doing anything if they make the playoffs, but it's about that experience and playing at that high level with that kind of pressure night in and night out. Even if it's, just like 4 or 5 games, it's still something you didn't have before and something to learn from.
Shukri, you mentioned the Battle of Ontario. What would intrigue you most about that matchup potentially?
Honestly, and I'm a curmudgeon for hockey blood on the ice. Like when it comes to like players battling, I want to preface that statement. But I'm not backing down from it at all, because I like to see anger. I like to see rage. Like I like to see a team like Ottawa, in which that they finally are going to break through and make the playoffs for the first time since 2016-17, when they went all the way to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Pittsburgh Penguins. We all know how that ended with Chris Kunitz winning that Game 7. And this Ottawa team that had been building for the last few years now, building and falling short, in which that I'm excited to see what Brady Tkachuk does in the playoffs. I'm excited to see to see like how like Linus Ullmark being the number one guy, how he fares in the playoffs, because you really didn't get the full chance 2 years ago when he was with the Boston Bruins. I mean, Jeremy Swayman, stole the show, so to speak, 2 years ago, but also last year. But now Ullmark being healthy, you gotta like your chances there. But then also from the Toronto aspect of things too, so much has been made about the Leafs. Is it the Maple Leafs or the Make Believes come April? Because the reality is this: they have one playoff round since 2004. That was 2 years ago. They have a new head coach, a new system that is clearly working, and you see the difference on the ice in terms of how they play. I just think that the way that the Maple Leafs are structured defensively, that they're built for the playoffs more than they have been in recent years, where it was really run, shotgun, and no sort of like structure, and it cost them in the playoffs. But with Craig Berube, who's been there and done that, won a cup with the Blues 6 years ago, I think this matchup is going to be so interesting, but especially for the old school heads like myself, who I like the good old fisticuffs. I want to see Brady Tkachuk face off against the likes of a Brandon Carlo, because why not?
And I love rivalries, Battle of Ontario, Battle of Alberta, those kind of rivalries. I miss Islanders Rangers. Hasn't happened since 1994, which is way, way past due. But yeah, I mean, those kind of rivalries, I think, and we'll get to this topic a little bit later, but when they changed the playoff format to make it more division centric, that they were trying to get those, Montreal, Boston, Battle of Alberta, Battle of Ontario, Islanders, Rangers, Flyers, Penguins. It hasn't always worked out that way, but that was at least the noble goal. I mean, how do you guys feel about the fact that, meanwhile, Edmonton and the LA Kings are most likely going to meet now for the 4th year in a row? Is that good or bad for hockey?
Yeah, I don't really like it. I mean, I don't know. It takes away some of the entertainment factor, because we've been there, done that. It's the same thing. It's
like, Jess, maybe you can understand it. If you don't, God bless. Gil, maybe you understand what I'm about to say. If not, God bless. It's like being served Thanksgiving leftover mashed potatoes and gravy for 5 straight days. It gets old. Give me something new. I'm hungry. I want something new. Feed me something fresh. I don't want to see Oilers and Kings. Give me like Sharks Kings, for God's sakes. I mean, give me something like that's exciting. That's fun. But the old adage of Kings, Oilers again, woo! I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. If anything else, if I had a magic wand and I could pick which matchup I would rather see instead, in all seriousness, I would really prefer to see St. Louis, Colorado. If I had to pick, it would be St. Louis, Colorado instead of Oilers and Kings. I think the storylines would be fascinating, and as well as just the matchup. I mean, my goodness, between Psycho Jordan Binnington in the playoffs, and as well as an Avalanche team that is one of the legitimate dark horses favorites to come out of the West to go to the Cup final. So it would be fun.
That would be fun. Although, one thing I do have to say about having those teams meet 4 years in a row, it may be a little repetitive, but you get a lot of bad blood. You were talking Shukri, about rivalries and intensity and all that stuff. You meet the same team in the playoffs for 4 years in a row, there is going to be some bad blood there.
Oh, no question. And it's one of those things where, like, I'm trying to think, like, and you guys could tell me, when was the last time we've seen a singular playoff matchup in consecutive, like 4 consecutive years at that? We've seen Bruins, Maple Leafs round 1 back-to-back years in 2018 and 19, but not 4 straight years. Yeah. So like, when, especially in it's an original 6, so I get that aspect. But the reason why I think it would be healthy to see a fresh new matchup is because of the fact that that's how you create new rivalries in the sport. I mean, think about it for a moment. Like, Vegas, Seattle, create new rivalry that way. And, like Vegas, Dallas, that's become a rivalry in the last 5-6 years. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, new blood. Like, I like that. It's great for the sport. It's great for those markets to get energized. Like, oh, we're about to play Dallas again? Ooh, this is going to be good. Like, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, no question. Well, we'll see if any of these dream matchups actually take place. And one thing's for sure, we will see some good hockey. later this month when the playoffs get underway. But does the NHL have the playoff format right, or should we look for some changes? We're going to talk about that and a lot more coming up next on the Squad Show. Today's episode is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no-shells variety. It's the perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. wonderfulpistachios.com. So, playoff format. A lot of criticism over the years of the way this has been going. I have lived through, we have Kyle Carr from Locked On Ducks joining us. Kyle, glad you could make it. I know you hit a little bit of traffic, so welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
Just in time Kyle? For the second segment. This is Shukri and, Jess, I think. And we're going to talk about the playoff format now. A lot of people think we should go back to the 1 versus 8. I'm old enough to remember the whole league going 1 versus 16, 2 versus 15 back in the early 80s. Of course, there were only 21 teams back then, and 16 of them made the playoffs, so that was a waste in a different way. But what do you guys think about the current playoff format? Should it stay the same, or should we look for changes? And if so, what changes should we see? Jess, let's start with you.
I want to see change. We've had this for a little bit. It's good to shake things up, keep people on their toes. But I want to see it like how baseball does it in terms of more divisional play. Give me more of Edmonton and Calgary. I don't want just 3 games. 3 games sporadically throughout the season. I don't care. Give me like 5, 6. I won't get greedy. I think that is what fuels fan bases. It's what puts people in their seats, whether it's at home or at the games. People want to see true competitiveness and just that organic rivalry.
Are you willing to, for example, not see Alex Ovechkin for a year or 2 in Calgary in order to get that?
Yes.
Interesting.
I guess it would depend, of course. Like, there's going to be sacrifices that have to be made. But I feel like, and again, the players talk about how hard those long trips are. Maybe we don't have to do it as often. I give them a little break. But I feel like it could be of great benefit. And they'll come up with a way to rotate who and what goes where. And that's why they get paid to do that, not me.
Would you want to do it like the NFL does it, where, one division faces another division every 3 years or so in the other conference? Now, there's only 2 divisions right now in each conference. Maybe you alternate to get an extra game in division against your rivals. Does that make sense?
I would say so. I feel like that might be maybe a little bit too much, but I don't know. I think I'm just for change. I don't care what it is. Just give me more Battle of Alberta. I don't care.
Absolutely.
Shukri?
Give me my steak and potatoes, damn it. Please, thank you. Yeah. But no, seriously, I'm with you, Jess. I need change because I am sick and tired of being fed like spoiled bologna, like in cheese, like which smells like someone's rotten on the armpits in the summer. Like we're supposed to be infused to smell such great odor of bad content. Like, no, stop, please stop. I'm asking the NHL, do not mess up a good thing. You mess up a good thing, because as we were talking about this off the air, and I'm getting animated because I'm old enough, and not to sound like the old man, no disrespect to you, Gil, I'm not calling you old, but
He's
just
21.
the old guy. But I remember a time as a kid, like in the early 2000s, where the 1-8 matchups were just absolutely amazing. I remember the wild upsetting. I'm correct me if I'm wrong. The wild upsetting the Red Wings back in 2003, like in the 2003 Stanley Cup playoffs, en route to their run to the Western Conference Finals. I remember the LA Kings in 2012, their historic run, because no 8-team team had ever won the Stanley Cup. It never happened. And then on top of that, like, I also remember the good old rivalry of Kings Sharks at 2014. Oh, that's right, the Sharks. They blew a 3-0 series lead against the Kings, who won the Cup. Like, I want to see that. Give me more Montreal versus Boston in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I was thinking about this the other day. You know how much I missed that? I miss Montreal-Boston when both teams were good, meeting in the playoffs. Instead, we're left with, no disrespect to the Islanders, but we're left with Bruins-Islanders. It doesn't get me hockey excited. It doesn't make me stand up corrected, if you know what I mean. Like, it just doesn't. It's not the same. Now, if it was Bruins-Rangers, yeah, definitely. I can get behind that. I mean, a little East Coast bias, but Kyle, come on, man. Work with me. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you don't miss the 1-8, because that's where it produced the greatest upsets in NHL history. Why the Stanley Cup is truly the hardest trophy to win with that format.
No, I absolutely miss having the 1-8, like just getting those division rivals and really creating that tension of having a blowout. Like, I feel like we've been seeing Edmonton, LA for the last like 3 or 4 playoffs.
Yeah.
We get the same setups with Boston, Toronto. We get the Islanders versus Tampa. Like, there's so many repeat things, and like, absolutely the disparity of the league is above and beyond versus all the other 3-letter leagues. But it's been a little repetitive and a little painful when like we're looking at Dallas and Colorado in the first round, and like, absolutely, it's like that's what draws in, like, the biggest views of the playoffs are in that first round. But like, I'd rather much have like an upset and someone just coming up from out of nowhere, rather than watching 2 of the top teams of the entire season getting blown out the first round. And then it's like, oh, well, that was all for naught. Like, good for them, but they did nothing for nothing.
Kyle, on that point there, like, I remember in the early 2000s, Dallas, Colorado meeting in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, this was the years when Ray Bourque was in Colorado in pursuit of winning his Stanley Cup. And I also remember now, like, how much that rivalry meant, especially, not to be forgotten, Colorado-Detroit in the Western Conference Finals back in the day. We saw the
painful series.
Oh, it was amazing. Are you kidding me? Painful? Call me a damn masochist. Like, call me a hockey masochist. Those were painfully great to watch. Drama, bad blood. But that's the kind of thing that I absolutely miss badly. And the NHL, they've got to get back to that, in my opinion. It may not be the bloody gory days of the late 90s, early 2000s, but the intensity and the rivalries, it matters. It makes for great ratings.
It does. And, the other thing is this, from a fairness perspective, Dallas, Colorado, most likely going to meet in the first round. One of them is out. And there are going to be teams that are not as good who are going to have an easier first round opponent. And that, to me, is a big fairness issue that this current format doesn't avoid.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's like looking at the West, like with the Pacific, the only battle right now is Edmonton and the Kings getting home ice advantage. Like, we know they got the second and the third round settled in, but it's like who gets home ice and who doesn't. But it leaves nothing for the rest. Like, the wild card, yeah, it's a good race, but it feels
Is
like
it?
there's nothing, like there's nothing really there to like challenge the rest of the season.
Yeah, the stretch drive has been a little disappointing. I mean, a month ago, there were 8 teams battling for 2 or 3 spots, and then the West heated up and they had 5 teams going for 2 spots. But here we are with a couple of weeks left in the season, and it's all pretty much decided, more or less, especially after the Blues have reeled off so many wins in a row.
I hate the Blues.
Yeah.
They're really great. They're doing really good.
You can blame, and I mean it's lightheartedly, but also seriously. You could absolutely blame 2 teams for the fact that in the East, in particular, that the wild card race has completely kind of become a dud, if you will. You can blame the Boston Bruins, who, as of March 7th, they were just barely hanging on for dear life, and then right after that, and it's sad, but Columbus as well, because I was really pulling for Columbus to make the playoffs. Obviously. With the tragedy of the death of Johnny Gaudreau, I was really pulling for them, but it looks like it's not going to happen. It just ran out of gas. Yeah. So, but I blame those 2 teams, but really more heavily on the Bruins because, of course, the Bruins like to make my life miserable. But what do I know?
Somebody's got to do it, right?
Thanks, Gil. They found a way to do it this
Don
year.
Sweeney. We love you.
Don Sweeney.
Yeah, Don
Just
Sweeney.
kidding there, but all right, we've got more to get to here on today's show. We're going to talk a little bit more about Alex Ovechkin and his place in history. We've got that and more coming up on today's NHL Squad Show.
Did you know getting a good night's sleep is the #1 recipe for long-term success in life? I didn't. It took me way longer to realize than I'd like to admit. It was years of tossing and turning. I was always tired. I never felt like I could live up to my potential. But not anymore, thanks to Bear Mattress. I used their sleep quiz, and I matched with the Elite Hybrid. It's perfect for side sleepers like me. Now I wake up energized. I'm getting deeper sleeps and I'm ready to attack the day. No matter how you sleep, Bear Mattress has a match for you with a focus on recovery, cooling, and pressure relief to upgrade your sleep and improve your overall quality of life. Go to bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout for 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's bearmattress.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 40% off site-wide. Bearmattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL.
So welcome back, everybody. We know over the weekend, Alexander Ovechkin passing Wayne Gretzky for the all-time goals lead in NHL history. Amazingly enough, did it in roughly the same amount of games. I think it was off by 1. But here's my question. Ovechkin is now the all-time goals leader, but where does he fit in the all-time best players overall? Do you think he's a better overall player than Wayne Gretzky or no? Kyle, let's start with you.
Well, I think that he's obviously had like a very different career than Wayne Gretzky with the era that he played in, and like to have a location on the ice, like everyone knows where Gretzky's office is and everyone knows where Ovechkin's office is. And the amount of energy that he brings to the game, I think that he's definitely on the Mount Rushmore of hockey players. Like, I love Sidney Crosby, but out of the 2 of them, like the energy that that Ovechkin has brought to the game, and everything, that every goal he celebrates is like a little kid scoring his first goal for the first time. Like, he is someone that completely pushes the game forward, and you hear about Ovechkin and anything and everything that you do that revolves around hockey. And like, I've seen so many memes and pictures and everything on social media that just shows like there was like a thing of the Simpsons, like it was like Homer Simpson as a kid watching Ovechkin as a kid, and now it's Homer as an adult and it's like him scoring. Like, he's been around forever, and everyone knows Ovechkin. Like, even my son, who's a 13-year-old, like, Ovechkin's been a big part of his hockey knowledge and growth as a player. And like, he was part of mine growing up as a hockey player. So like, I think that he's at the top of, Bobby Orr, Wayne Gretzky, Gordie Howe. Like, Ovechkin's going to be one of those guys that everyone talks about for the rest of their lives.
But if you're a GM and you can pick one of those guys to start a team, who do you pick?
Oof. I mean, Gretzky, obviously he's got the knowledge and the know-how, but I think just for the energy and the everything that Ovechkin brings, I think I would pick Ovechkin just because he's been there since day one, and he played through a physical time of the NHL, and he's also played through this crazy goaltending experience where everything was goaltender forward, and they literally had to slim down the goaltender gear just to get some offense started, but he was still scoring goals. So I think I would pick Ovechkin just to have that energy on my team.
Shukri, in their prime, who are you picking if you're the GM to start your team?
That's a tough one, but man, there's a part of me that I was leaning towards Crosby, but my heart's saying Ovechkin, and not just because of the fact you set the new record for the most goals scored in the history of the NHL, because we all are of a certain age that we remember what it was like coming out of the lockout in 2005. I do. I'll never forget like that summer in particular, summer of 2005. It was the summer of who was going to be the team that was going to be lucky to win the lottery to draft Sidney Crosby number 1 overall. That was literally the summer of 2005. We're about
Ducks
to
were supposed to be first.
Yeah, but the Penguins said, excuse us.
We got Bobby Ryan, but it's okay.
I mean, Bobby Ryan actually kind of worked out pretty well. I mean, what do I know? But like the thing that I remember most, and then obviously Ovechkin missed that first year because of the lockout of 2004-2005. The pressure that both Ovechkin and Crosby faced, I am bold enough and confident to say no player in league history has faced the pressure that both Ovechkin and Crosby had to face coming out of the lockout to resuscitate the NHL. Because it was, I wouldn't say it was dead, but there were a lot of angry fans. And those two men carried the league to new heights and unimaginable heights that we could have foreseen 20 years later, and they're both are still on top of their game. And if you ask me to pick one or the other, that's a tough ask. Now, if you said to me, pick one or swallow an entire bag of thorns, I am going to absolutely pick Ovechkin because of the energy, because of the way that the passion that he exudes on the ice. And then also the other reason is because you have to respect his brand of hockey. Physicality. He was a very physical player when he first came out, scoring 50 goals and literally knocking other players into next year. And yet now he's still a physical player. Go reminisce on that fight he had with Svechnikov in 2019 as an example, but he picks his spots now. So I'm going to go with Ovechkin for me.
A little wisdom as he got older, basically.
Yes.
So, Jess?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Ovechkin is the right choice. The whole, like you said, the coming out of the lockout and just bringing the league up, but also the goaltending era. Like, this has been crazy to watch. Like, these kids just get better and better, and the scoring has gone down because the goaltending has been so good. Justin Wolf. But yeah, I feel like that is a true challenge, and it's a little bit harder.
They all look like the Michelin Man now. So,
Yep.
You know, if I'm starting a team from scratch, I'm going old school with Bobby Orr because I've just never seen a player dominate the tempo of a game like Bobby Orr did. And he was on the ice for like 30 minutes a game, handling the puck. And if you go back and see some of the things he did, I remember watching him kill a penalty where he was the only guy practically who touched the puck for almost the entire 2 minutes, and nobody could catch him. He would go back behind the goal, circle around, go back. They chase him. He'd go to center ice. They chase him back. He'd go back behind the goal. And, a minute and 48 seconds of the penalty got killed, and nobody else touched the puck. So, to me, to control the tempo of a game, never saw anybody top Bobby Orr, but that's, again, going back to when I first started watching hockey. So I'm kicking it old school with number 4.
Gil, on that point, just real quick, like as a Bruins fan, I want to speak on biasly a little bit. I get it. But when we talk about the greatest to ever lace up the skates, everybody says Bobby Orr. And I keep coming back to this point here. You name me a singular player who revolutionized an entire position by himself. That's Bobby Orr.
That's Bobby Orr.
Without Bobby Orr, you don't see guys like Ray Bork,
offensive defenseman.
There's no
Ray
Cale
Bork,
Makar.
Cale Makar, or Larry Robinson, another Hall of Famer, or even Nicholas Lidstrom, also to be mentioned as well. But you get the point. He changed that position. Before that, it was pretty much you stay at home, you defend in front of your netminder, and that was the end of the story. But Orr changed that.
Yeah, he really did. He changed the way the game was played. And I mean, Gretzky did too in his own way. And I think all these superstars did, because they did things that nobody else could do. But let's agree to this much. That would be a good problem to have if you're allowed to pick any one of those guys to start your franchise. Well, Jess, Shukri, Kyle, thank you so much. It's been great talking a little hockey with all of you. We will be back here next week for another exciting episode of The Squad as we get closer and closer to the start, believe it or not, of the NHL playoffs. I'm Gil Martin on behalf of everybody. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the NHL Squad Show. Have a great day, everybody.